And hi, my name is Caitlin. I am also a reading, advising, and mentoring program advisor.
Yeah. And as you see on this slide here, our emails are available. If you have any questions or even outside of this workshop, feel free to reach out to us. We will also be emailing the PowerPoint to you after the presentation. All right, the next slide. This is detailing our agenda for today. We'll be exploring. We're breaking it down into two sections. The first is exploring scholarships. Where we'll be reviewing the benefits of applying for scholarships and where to find those scholarships. We'll then jump into writing winning essays. So this will go into general scholarship questions and essays, writing your personal statement, and essay writing techniques and tips.
All right. We would first like to begin by highlighting some benefits of applying for scholarships. Scholarships can provide funding for your education, including tuition, research projects, student loan repayment. Um, and with that in mind, receiving scholarship funding can reduce the need for part-time work to help pay for school, giving you more time for focusing on your studies, your projects, internships, and even professional development. All right. And then in addition to providing monetary value, scholarships also serve as a testament to your academic merit. So scholarships can also be listed on things such as your resume, graduate school applications, and more as an academic accomplishment. All right. So Cal Poly Pomona students have access to CPP, CSU, and outside scholarships through the Bronco Scholarship Portal, which we're actually going to view. So just a second while I stop sharing and the portal open. All right. Can you all see the screen? Just a
Yes.
thumbs up. Cool. So this portal hosts a variety of opportunities for students, as you can see here. Um, Before applying to CPP scholarships, you will have to complete a general application, which we'll go into further detail later. But after you complete your general application, you will have to review the criteria for each of these individual scholarships. And we'll click on one now just to see. Um, You'll see that some of them are open to all majors, like this one. Others are catered to more specific majors. We'll take a look at some of these below for like the CBA or CEIS or class. So some of them require you to be in a specific college. Some will also require specific GPAs, sometimes above a 2.5 or a 3. And then some may also require you to submit a resume. This step will require you to do some research to see which scholarships you can apply for. You can start by using this search box here to add keyword filters, such as your major, like if you're in the EML department. You can also look and see if they require you to share your GPA and more. Also, you'll see that most of these scholarships are due by early March or April. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. The Bronco Scholarship Portal also has external or outside scholarships you can apply for. Um, you will see them here under opportunities and external. Oops, let me go back here. There we go. So you'll see that some of these do have a little bit more later due dates, which is also something to consider. This one doesn't seem to have one at all, so that might be just an open scholarship. Um, to view and to potentially apply for. Just to note, these scholarships aren't associated with Cal Poly, but have just been added to the portal as an additional resource. All right, and we'll head back over to the PowerPoint here. Okay. We just want to note that it is important to make sure when you are applying for external scholarships that you should be aware of any scholarship scams. Be wary of companies that guarantee or promise scholarships. Don't send money to anyone. You will never be asked to send money to receive money for a scholarship. So avoid scholarships from companies that also make really generous promises, or if they charge a fee, like I said, for you to receive aid, or even if they request your credit card information or bank account number. To my knowledge, most scholarships will ask you to direct your information to the Office of Financial Aid where you go to school. So um, your funding will be sent straight to the Office of Financial Aid. If you have any questions on the legitimacy of any scholarships that you are considering applying for, you can always check in with the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships as well. All right, more about researching. As we previously mentioned, the first thing we recommend when you're beginning the scholarship application process is to do your research. So while you can use that keyword filter to identify scholarships that are applicable to you using like your major or your GPA or college, you will still want to look even deeper into the background and purpose of each of the individual scholarships and also who will be reviewing them. The Bronco Scholarship Portal, the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships website, as well as your own online research can provide valuable information about a scholarship. Some scholarships are offered by specific organizations or individuals, so researching their mission, vision, purpose, goals, and values is highly recommended. Memorial scholarships are also really common to find. These are scholarships that honor a specific individual. So doing some research on the individual will give you insight into the qualities of that individual. And with that information, you will want to make sure that your writing shows how you align with the individual. So for example, if they were a community service advocate, you might want to highlight your passion and involvement in community service. The Don Van Bruggen Scholarship is one example of a memorial scholarship established by the Learning Resource Center. Don Van Bruggen was a former LRC writing tutor who was noted as an exceptional employee, a determined and involved student, and a good friend who was helpful to everyone she met. So knowing that, you might write about your involvement on campus and how you also share a passion for helping people. So you can begin your research by reading the descriptions of each scholarship in the Bronco Scholarship Portal, but you can also learn even more about the scholarships in this Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships website as well. They have even more detailed information on the scholarships that they've provided.
As we previously mentioned, you will have to submit a general scholarship application. Caitlin showed you where that's located. This application asks you about your involvement in organizations and clubs and in your communities. You can use these brief essays to inspire and then tailor any additional essays you may need to write for each of the scholarships that you're applying to. This will help each scholarship essay be a bit more personalized, and it will help you show your readers that you're really putting in the effort into the scholarship that you're applying for. So now we're going to delve more into the personal statement. So after responding those initial questions and brief essays, you will need to create a personal statement. This personal statement includes information on your academic goals, career objectives, and why a scholarship would be helpful to you. You can also provide any other relevant information that may make your application stand out from other applicants. For example, work or volunteer experience, your achievements, your leadership activities, or any challenges you have faced. So here you'll notice why the final question is the last slide, please. Yeah, the final question states that it's optional. However, we recommend that you address it in order to strengthen your application. Don't just ignore it. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so being passionate and personal, provides the scholarship committee with an opportunity to get to know the person behind the application. That's why we recommend you to become more passionate and personal when considering writing your essay. So think of your essay as a way to introduce yourself without meeting the person face to face. We encourage you to share what you're passionate about, your personal narrative, and the identities that have shaped you and your field of choice. Reflect on personal motivations that have led to your current path. We also encourage you to take time to reflect and consider why you selected to pursue your specific field, your major, your focus, your emphasis. For example, if you're a civil engineering major who is specializing in water quality, you might reflect on whether local water quality issues influenced your choice. But what drives your passion for the work that you're engaged in? Has a mentor or a role model inspired you? How has, for example, maybe you want to be a doctor because you experienced someone overcoming illness, so you can share that story. Next slide, please. Okay, so we created this slide to give you a few exercises that could help facilitate the process of writing the personal statement. So you also want to understand who you are and how you identify by answer these questions here. They can help you start planning the story of who you are and what you are passionate about. And doing so will allow your readers to get to know you through your essay. You may also want to consider what identities you embody and what communities you are part of, as we mentioned earlier. So, for example, as a first generation college student or a student who is the first in their family to attend college, you might reflect on your motivations for pursuing higher education, its significance for you and your loved ones, and how this identity shapes your perspective and aspirations. Other identities to consider while writing your personal statement include, for example, being a transfer student or being part of a specific community. So now we're going to refer to this diagram on this slide here. Here's one example of how you can organize your thoughts when writing about your identities. So in here, within each circle, you could reflect on your varying identities. And this diagram overall illustrates how all your identities intersect. So in each circle, you could reflect on each of those and then broaden the picture by weaving them together in your essay. So again, you could ask yourself, what communities do you belong to and how does that inform you and your goals? And now we're going to do a little exercise here. If you're comfortable sharing, we want to welcome you to include any communities or any groups that you identify with. So I'm gonna put up a poll here, and it's an anonymous poll, so we will not receive your name or your identifying info. It'll just simply be the responses. Or you also have the option of entering in the chat here. Okay, so I am launching the poll now. Do you all see it? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but we'll give you a minute here to take part in this exercise.
what we should do like about this poll?
It's just responding to the poll. And then once I
Uh,
do the poll, you
yeah,
should be.
but what are the answer? Like answer 1, 2, 3, like what should I put? Like
So the first question is, for example, are you a first generation college student?
yeah, I answered that already, but I meant the number 2, like uh
Oh, sorry for not explaining. Yeah, for
oh,
number two is identify as, and if you want to include any communities or groups that you're a part of, as I was explaining earlier, that to
oh,
reflect,
okay, sorry.
and
Okay,
then you
thank you.
in there you could fill in the blank.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you're welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna end the poll now. It seems like some are coming in. Um, yeah, so if you'd like to also include, I'm gonna end and I'm gonna share the results here. Okay, so here, so this is 11 people who responded in our first generation college students. So as I mentioned earlier, that is something that you could, talk about being a first generation college student, what that means, what that entails, perhaps any challenges that are associated with it, and then how you had to overcome those challenges. Um, and then secondly, the second question I identify as, I can't see it on my end, the results actually. Yeah, but those are just to give you start giving you an idea of what you could share in your personal statement. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing the results on my end. Let's go back. Okay, yeah, so I'm just gonna give you a brief summary here. I see a lot of people put their ethnic background, your sexual orientation, um, I see first generation. So I'm also seeing nationality. Yeah, so that's mainly what I see here. Those are all great examples of what you could include in this exercise and then expand on as you're writing your personal statement. Okay. In summary, brainstorming about who you are, what you're passionate about, and what has led you to where you are will help you connect with the essay prompt, and reflecting on your identity and background will give you a foundation for what to include in your essay. Also wanted to give you another example here in the next slide. This is a scholarship example of how you can communicate your identity with a scholarship. This one is the Access and Disability Alliance Scholarship, and this recognizes students who are actively promoting disability awareness and serving as an advocate for people who have disabilities. So you could see some of the criteria here. You could see how you could communicate your passion, your identity, etc., to respond to the scholarship. And as I mentioned earlier, we mentioned earlier, aside from your personal statement and your essay, there's going to be additional, supplemental questions. So you want to make sure to take care of those as well. Okay, next slide, please. Now we're gonna discuss some pre-writing strategies. When you're brainstorming and thinking of your different identities, you can also start this process during the pre-writing process. So here's the list of common strategies that help you track your identities and how you connect, how you connect to your essays. So many of you may recognize these strategies from your English or writing classes. Some students have been sharing with me, for example, how they experience writer's block. Practicing these strategies here can help prevent or eliminate that. So while we go over these briefly, we have provided a link um, to the LRC Student Lingo course, and it's here at the bottom. For you to learn more about these individual strategies illustrated here, which include identify list, mapping, webbing, free write. I'll briefly go over in just a second. As we're describing these pre-writing strategies, please put a thumbs up. So either on the video or on the chat here. if you have used these pre-writing strategies before. The first one is identify and list. This strategy includes creating a list of or multiple lists that identify your strengths, experiences, campus involvement, community involvement, accomplishments, achievements, and any challenges or obstacles you have experienced or overcome. Some other things you can list are your organization or professional leadership experiences. You can also list other unique qualities that will set you apart from other applicants when you're writing your essay. The second one is mapping and webbing. Mapping or webbing is a creative pre-writing strategy activity where you draw yourself at the center or at the top of the page and create links to your experiences and milestones. This method helps make writing a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging, and will help you identify themes and any recurring words or any concepts to explore further to develop in your essay. There are also applications and websites, for example, canva.com, designed to help you create webs or maps. I said that kind of fast. It's canva.com. Lastly, there's free write. And this is a pre-writing strategy that is more reflective or that is more reflective. This is a way to get your ideas flowing. You can start by writing about yourself or use a set of prompts or questions to help guide your writing. Simply write anything and everything that comes to mind and just let it flow onto the paper. You don't have to worry about grammar, spelling, punctuation. The goal of pre-writing is to just get your ideas out there. Hopefully doing this will lead to further ideas or themes that you can begin organizing and developing further within your formal essay.
All right. So after brainstorming and practicing these pre-writing strategies, you will want to create an outline. Making an outline helps to organize your ideas and make sure that they connect and relate to the prompt. So some of you may know Dustin Johnson. He's the tutor coordinator at RAMP. And he has previously likened not using an outline to driving across the country without a map. You're probably going to get lost. Similarly, if you write an essay without an outline, your ideas might seem disorganized or disconnected from the prompt, which will then probably result in your reader getting lost as they're reading your essay. There are many online tools that can help you create an outline. One such online outliner is called Dynalist, which we have linked here on the PowerPoint. This free online application can help you to organize your thoughts through an outline, but we just want to give a heads up. It does have some AI services, and we want to recognize that AI can be a helpful tool for research and writing organization, but we also want to emphasize that you want to use it as a tool and not a co-writer, just to avoid plagiarism. So if you do plan on using AI to help draft an outline, the University Writing Center is a great resource to check in with about plagiarism. All right. And here we have an example of a traditional outline for a general scholarship essay. This type of outline includes multiple topics or ideas that one might address in their essay. And underneath each topic, there are clarifying questions that guide the writer in addressing each topic thoroughly. So in this example outline, the writer would highlight what their major is and what that entails. They would also include personal characteristics such as their values, strengths, and challenges they've overcome. They would also note their involvement in academic or non-academic academic activities, leadership positions, their experience at internships, unique characteristics that would make them stand out in the scholarship application, and more details on how the funding will actually be used. One thing to note is that when you are discussing your experiences, especially that in leadership, You don't want to just list your title or titles like I was a secretary of this organization or a historian for this organization. You will also want to explain the leadership skills you gained from being in that role. So, for example, as a secretary for this organization, I took the lead on our data collection project, and I spearheaded the redesign of our filing organization system. You want to provide really concrete examples that support your points and show that you've gained skills from those positions. Overall, outlines can help you to organize your thoughts and ensure that your argument is well supported and, of course, avoid writer's block. All right, some other organization strategies. After you've created your outline, you are now ready to start your draft. As you write your essay, staying organized will be one of your top priorities. Our first tip for staying organized while writing is to keep your prompt readily available to refer to. When I wrote essays for college, and that included scholarship essays, I would actually copy and paste the prompt onto the top of my document, and I would either bold or highlight it. And then as I addressed each of the different parts of the prompt, I would highlight or unbold those parts as a way to kind of keep track of what I've already addressed and make sure I wasn't missing anything. So other ways you can do that, you can also just create a checklist on a separate piece of paper or even on a Post-it note that you keep at your, whether it's your laptop or your home computer, that has a list to check that you are answering all of the questions and providing all of the details that they're requesting. Also, to remain on track with your essay, you'll want to make sure you have a clear thesis. And you can also underline or bold that too. As some of you may recall, thesis statements should be typically 1 to 2 sentences long and summarize the main point or claim of your essay. If you need guidance with writing a thesis statement, we recommend referring to the University Writing Center or also your respective programs, tutoring centers. So whether you're an EOP, RAMP, or ARCHES. And then while you are writing, it can also help to highlight transition words and topic sentences. Identifying these can really help you to visualize how each sentence or idea connects to the next. And that ensures like a smooth flow between your sentences and your paragraphs. Likewise, if you see better ways to connect your ideas or more accurately address the prompt, you can always revisit your outline and reorganize as needed. Like I mentioned earlier, an outline is really like a roadmap. It's there to guide you, but also you can take the scenic route or you can slightly venture off topic if it helps you to get to where you want to go. Remember, it's your paper, your writing, your story. You can always go back and edit it. In terms of time management, you will want to create a schedule with dedicated writing times. There are a variety of tools online to help you manage and submit your paper online on time. Online organization and project management tools such as Trello and Monday.com are really great options. You can use those tools to help kind of break down your writing steps into even smaller tasks and set deadlines for yourselves to task each of those tasks. I believe you can also get those set up with your calendar too. So if you use your Microsoft calendar for school, it'll also send you reminders of when things are due. So I recommend taking a look into those. And with those, I also recommend creating personal deadlines for pre-writing, for drafting, for receiving feedback on your essays well in advance before the scholarship is due. All right, using the chat box, what are some other ways that you all stay organized while writing? we'll be reading some aloud. Or if you want to come onto the microphone, um, by all means, just share some ways that you all stay organized by writing. Some ways that you could stay organized by writing are scheduling an appointment for feedback. Yep, with the University Writing Center. Can definitely serve as a motivator for getting started on writing the essay. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, definitely scheduling an appointment. Oh, that's awesome, Danielle. Danielle joined a writing group to motivate her to finish her writing project. Um, and then you would outline everything you needed on paper with pencil. That's some people work better with actually writing things out on a piece of paper. So that's awesome. That's a great suggestion. I know that I definitely have before too. Sometimes it's better just to write it out. Awesome.
Great.
So if you think of any more, like feel free to share. But in the meantime, we'll move on.
Yes, and now we'll review some writing do's and some writing don'ts. Here are some tips on what to include and not include when writing your essay. We are illustrating some examples here, and I'll review some here. Uh, Do's, you have the option to use a theme or quotation to guide your essay. However, if you use one, avoid using any overly used quote to make sure that it's not cliche. Do share personal goals and values. This is a way for you to introduce yourself to them and for them to get to know you. So again, making it personal can help paint that story. You do want to share past achievements and failures and how they shaped your life. Talking about your failures or challenges shows vulnerability, and it also shows awareness and growth. We encourage you to talk about what you learned from the failure and what you would have done differently. Doing so can help show that you have skills to manage failures and that you're using them as a growth opportunity. Share your past and current involvement in activities and how you're benefiting or you benefited from them. So again, be sure to use specific examples. When detailing a story, you can use chronological order to help maintain the flow of your essay and guide the reader along in the story. So here's an example. What happened or what led you to where you're at now? You could use that as an example. You will want to explain what happened in the order that it occurred, to maintain that clear story. Do solicit feedback from a real person. So getting feedback from a real person can help, since they can point out any areas where they might have gotten lost or identify one paragraph that didn't really connect as smoothly to another. Getting feedback from someone can also show you well. It can help you determine if you've shared enough details for the reader to know the real you. After receiving feedback, revise your essay with that feedback in mind. Do keep your essay short and to the point, at least with the minimum word count requirement. Scholarship readers read a lot of essays, so you want them to be interested and engaged with your whole essay. Also, do write an active voice. For example, I wrote an essay versus passive voice. This essay was written by me. Writing in an active voice increases clarity and sounds stronger to the readers. And now here's some don'ts. Don't avoid repeating information. I'm sorry, avoid repeating information that is already in the prompt or in the application. So for example, for the Dawn Van Bruggen Scholarship we mentioned earlier, that she was noted as an exceptional employee and determined and involved student and a good friend who was helpful to everyone she met. But you don't want to reiterate the same wording when describing how you are like Don. You don't want to say, for example, I am an exceptional employee and determined and involved student, etc. You want to show that through your experiences and your accomplishments, that they're unique to you. Also, do not overly praise yourself without providing the evidence. And on the other hand, don't be too humble either. Like we mentioned earlier, you want to highlight your accomplishments, but you also want to do it in a way that shows what you've done to achieve those specific goals. For example, if you received an award, for instance, talk about what you did and how you learned from that experience. Avoid writing about controversial topics if you don't know the stance of your readers. You don't want them to bring any outside biases as they review your essay. Readers try to be impartial, however, they're human. So, you want to write about something that the other person may not agree with. You don't want to write about something that the other person may not agree with. And don't solely focus on other people when writing your essays. When drafting your story, you may highlight how your dad is the most important person in your life, for example, or any other person who is important in your life, or how you plan on following in their footsteps. For example, of your high school mentor, let's say. While they may be while it might be good to include them in your paper, these stories run the risk of focusing too much on that influential figure in your life and not enough on you. The main thing to remember is that readers want to know about you. So if a person has had a significant impact on your life, then focus on one important moment in that relationship and how you learned from that experience. Also, avoid cliches, any jargon, colloquialisms, or unfamiliar technology or terminology. Make sure you write something that's understandable for people reading your essay. You don't know their native language, their background, their age, or their demographics. So they may not be familiar with certain terminology. Some students may write, for example, oh, the struggle was real. Is everybody going to understand that? So phrases like that, may not come across the way you intend them to. And lastly, I have two more. Do not recycle your essays if you are reapplying to a particular scholarship. You want to make it relevant to you and your current experience so you can update it with what you've learned since you last applied. For example, if it's an annual scholarship, you don't want to submit the same essay. Chances are that the same person who read it before might be reading it again. They will likely think that you didn't put much effort into resubmitting. And lastly, don't use absolute statements like I always or I never. Okay.
All right. So after you write your paper, you will want to revise. Revising focuses on refining the overall content of the essay. So we recommend look at your prompt and identify how you are addressing each aspect of the prompt. You might want to highlight each of these aspects within the prompt in like a different color. And then while you reread your essay, you can identify and highlight the sentences that correspond to each of the highlighted colors to make sure that you're addressing each aspect of the prompt. Some other things to consider are the structure of the essay. Check your overall structure to see if you are within the word count, and check to see if you have full paragraphs, a thesis, and very clear examples. After revising, you will want to edit. Editing focuses on refining at the sentence level, including your word choice, language structure, style, tone, and punctuation. Through editing, you are making sure that each sentence is clear and connected. And then after editing, you can finalize your essay. So while some of you may edit and finalize at the same time, we still recommend rereading your essay after spending some time away from it. We call that reading it with fresh eyes. We recommend that so you can take on a a new perspective with it, or at least try to take on a new perspective of it after spending some time away from it. Another recommended method that we recommend is using an online text-to-speech program such as Microsoft Word Online to read your essay out loud to you. And from what I've heard, they sound very similar to real people now. So when you hear the program reading your essay out loud, you will hear any grammar errors or anything that seems to not flow as well as the others, and you can identify sentences that you can edit. Likewise, you may also want to bring your essay to the Writing Center for final review as well. And then speaking about the Writing Center, we have some campus resources here to take a look at while you're writing your scholarship essays. The Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships has writing tips as well for scholarship applications, as well as other information about scholarships. Likewise, the University Writing Center is a great source to receive feedback on your essays. Even if it's just from the beginning of the essay, if you're not too sure what to write about, they can help with the pre-writing strategies. They can help to outline, and then they can also help to do a final review of your paper as well. We also recommend checking in with your tutoring centers or your programs, including Arches, Bronco Scholars, EOP, RAMP, and Polytransfer, as they can also provide help with scholarships. And then we also did provide some essay examples. We won't go into those right now, but since we are sending out the PowerPoint to all of you, you will have the opportunity to take a look at those. We chose these ones because they look pretty similar to what is already on the Bronco Scholarship Portal too. With that, we want to thank you all for joining us today, and we want to open up for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the chat. I know that Laura had also shared that the Office of Financial Aid is going to be hosting some information sessions and workshops in the very near future. One is actually today from 3 to 4 o'clock. We also recommend checking in with them as well because they'll have a little bit more information on scholarships.
And if I can add, if you go to the My Bar, they're inviting you to bring your laptop with you as well to the session, so that if you want to start testing out doing the completing the Bronco Scholarship Portal, you can get their assistance on site.
Excuse me, and is that at the financial aid office?
I don't think it's actually taking place at the financial aid office, but you can register using that link. Today is going to be in the SSB, which happens to be in the same building as the financial aid office, but it's going to be in the smaller side of the spaceship building, and that's room 1963.
And that's from 3 today, from 3 p.m.
Yeah, 3 to 4 today. And you can register using that link that I sent you. There's 10 spots available for today. I didn't check what the details are for the following dates. It might be a different location, but I can check that.
I could share a little bit about that. Some of them are going to be online, and some are going to be in different classrooms. So you could also check them, as Lara mentioned, on My Bar, and on there are details of where they're going to be held.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, Christian, I think the Scholarship Fest ones are all going to be in person.
Oh, I see. Scholarship Fest.
Yeah. But financial aid also has workshops for helping you complete your FAFSA or your DREAM Act application. And those are also, some of them are virtual, some of them are even on Saturdays. So they have a slew of workshops available right now on My Bar. So if you go to the link that I sent, that can be your starting point.
Mhm. Okay, we have a few minutes, so we wanted it to open it up for anybody who has questions, as Caitlin mentioned. Anybody have any questions, add it in the chat, or you could raise your hand here. We could answer. We could also stick around for a little bit longer after 12:50 if anybody wants to, uh, do that. Yeah. All right, so I see a hand.
Um,
Yeah, Lisa?
Go ahead, Luna.
Hi, yeah, I have two questions. The first was whether the Writing Center offers any dedicated scholarship writing tutoring, like if there are any tutors who have experience in writing scholarship essays that can help.
To my knowledge, not any dedicated ones, but they are all trained in providing that sort of support. Um, yeah, Christian or Laura, do you know of any?
I I also don't think that they're dedicated just for writing scholarship essays in particular. I mean, they will provide suggestions and feedback just regarding your writing in general. I think we could say more on the technicality that we focused on. However, I also recommend, as we said earlier, is like to check in with your respective program. So, for example, here at RAMP, you can use, let's say, uh, yeah, peer coaching, or even meet with your advisor to review your scholarship essay for us to provide you with any feedback of how you could strengthen it. So those are just ways that you could use our programs.
You can also, for the Writing Center, ask too and see if any of them have submitted scholarships before, or ask to be paired with a tutor that has submitted and won scholarships before. That's also an option.
Okay, thank you.
You're
And then
welcome.
I was also just wondering if maybe you could offer a little more clarification as far as identifying with groups in our essays, because when I was filling out the application, I noticed that it does ask us not to identify ourselves as far as like race or ethnicity. So I'm not sure uh, exactly how we're meant to write about that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, that was yeah, we mean that more to understand yourself and the communities that you are part of, and I read earlier in the chat communities. So that could be part of groups or things that you're involved with on campus. You know, there's a lot of clubs that are in particular to identities. And you may have a leadership role in there. You may be involved in community service. You may be involved in certain things relating to what's going on with your club, with a particular group. So that you can expand on that. Um, and then it might be more, especially with supplemental questions for certain scholarship essays, like the one that we pointed out, the accessibility, I believe we called it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in those instances, you could, speak a little bit more about why you're passionate about it. Um, and it does call for it in a way.
Okay.
Also, they will also have you identify like any clubs or organizations you've been involved with too. And they do list CPP organizations and clubs. So there's just other ways to identify as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You have another
And
hand up.
yes, Miriam.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to clarify. You mentioned for the general scholarship application, if we need assistance filling this out or completing this application, where do we go again? At the financial aid office or?
So any assistance
different
in
building.
filling that out, it's actually the University Writing Center. Sorry, that was the slides were a little fast there. But the University Writing Center is a great resource. If you have any questions on the legitimacy of any scholarships, like if you're applying to external scholarships, you will want to double check with the Financial Aid and Scholarships office. And they are located in the SSB, which is
Okay.
building 121, I believe. And then the Writing
Okay.
Center is located on the second floor of the library.
Got it. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Welcome.